good evening. Today I'm going to take another session on the health inbox section. Earlier I taken two sessions. One was what we understand about health. Another was what is the importance of calories. Should we be counting the calories or the quality of food matters much? Now today I'm just going to talk about why there's so much of discussions going on regarding health and regarding why we should be not taking processed food, why should we be cutting the refined carbohydrates and all, why it is like so much of importance is being paid. Because see, people who are not aware of this or who don't go through these kinds of information, many might not be informed about it. See, before this condition of obesity, overweight came into light, and a fatty liver disease incidences are increasing correspondingly in the children. Before that, undernutrition was a major problem in India, because rural areas are more in our country, and in the rural areas the calories and the protein intake by children is not much because they cannot afford it. So undernutrition was one problem which we actually consider as protein energy malnutrition, kwashiorkor marasmus. These are the various terms which are used. The problem now is that what we call as TOFI, that is the thin outside and fat inside. Okay, it's a very interesting term which actually signifies that even a person who is lean, thin, doesn't mean that the person is metabolically healthy, or a person who is obese or overweight is metabolically unhealthy. These two terms are very, very important to understand. Okay, a person may be thin, but doesn't mean the person is healthy metabolically. Some metabolic imbalances, problems might be happening in that person because that person might not be taking adequate amount or variety of food which would provide him or her the macronutrients and micronutrients which are required for various metabolic functions. So that person may become insulin resistant and type 2 diabetic. This is happening in children. Okay, so we can say this is also kind of an malnutrition condition. Undernutrition, overnutrition, both things are there. Okay, we are undernourished from the aspect of the various macronutrients and micronutrients, which is actually making you metabolically deranged. Okay, another effect is obesity, which we consider as a problem leading to type 2 diabetes. But I would say that this obesity and overweight is a risk factor for causing insulin resistance. It cannot be considered as the thing which would precede type 2 diabetes or metabolic syndrome. You can have metabolic syndrome without being obese or overweight, but obesity is kind of adding to the problem of metabolic syndrome, and this is a risk factor for insulin resistance. Okay, so when you're obese, you have to take care and try to shed those extra pounds, because that can make you insulin resistant, because fat deposition is one factor which can make the tissues and the various organs less insulin sensitive. Okay, so that is one aspect. So we have two conditions. One is that is the people who are thin and lean, another those who are obese and overweight. Now what is happening is, in the rural areas or in the people who are the economically weaker sections who cannot afford pulses and various other kinds of variety of food, and they mostly depend on cereals as their staple diet, because cereal production in agriculture in India, it is the major food grain, and it is available also, it is not costly also. So mostly people, they depend on cereals for their daily lunch and dinner and all. Now when one kind of diet, one kind of food is eaten regularly, and so one kind of nutrient is being provided, so the person becomes deficient for the other nutrients. So this problem is happening because of affordability is a problem. Okay, another thing is where we come in the urban areas where there is affordability, there is a choice to choose between healthy options and unhealthy options, but still, because of the addictive nature, because of the charm, and because of the aggressive advertisements and the social media impact, youngsters and the adolescents, they are moving towards junk food, ultra processed food, fast foods. Okay, so here two conditions are happening. One is those who are not able to afford, they are eating only one kind of a diet, that's mostly the cereals. Another, those who can afford, but still they think that these fashion foods are much palatable, tasty, and so that is the best option for them. Okay, so this is the problem which is happening, and why we are always running for this and want to educate the public about this, because this problem is going to be a leading epidemic in the whole world. Okay, America is number one in this, because obesity and overweight is increasing there, and the fast food culture is so much there. In India also it is happening, and the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is spreading so rapidly in the children and adolescents that in a few years, or you can say in just a short period of time, we'll be seeing this kind of epidemic, and it will be quite late to reverse the condition, because habits cannot be changed in short moment of time. Okay, it requires a lot of strong willpower, dedication, and cooperation of the person. So it's very difficult. If the children and adolescents are addicted to this kind of ultra processed fast food, it's very difficult to reverse their habits and their condition. So it all depends that how much aware the people are, how much aware the parents are, how much environment we create for healthy options, so that these kind of things be inculcated in the children also. Okay, now these guidelines have come recently, where the ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition Collaboration, that is working under the ICMR, they have proposed that we should be having variety of foods, because if we require carbohydrates, we require proteins also, we require fats also. Okay, and carbohydrates, the same thing, they have actually stressed that we should be away from the refined sugars. They have also emphasized about the food packets and the kind of beverages or packaged ultra processed foods which are actually marketed. Okay, so they can be marketed under various labels. It can be like fresh fruit juice, it can be like giving claims about healthy, it's healthy. So claims cannot be trusted. Okay, it's not a full proof if a company is claiming that this kind of food product which they are producing is healthy. Okay, claim means that it is something, happening behind the scenes. It's only a kind of a word, magical word used to market their product. So the guidelines have been given that when you buy a food product, when you buy a packaged food product, please see behind that the label. Okay, the label and the various information in it. When it is manufactured, what is the expiry date? Okay, it shouldn't be like the expiry date will be too close to it. In how much period of time it has to be consumed, how it has to be stored, and how it has to be consumed. Okay, what are the various ingredients present in it, where it is manufactured, and in the kind of ingredients and the components listed, you will find that the component listed in descending order. The component which is in the highest amount will be number one, then another will follow them. Okay, so you can find that what is the maximum quantity of what kind of component or macronutrient is maximum in this, whether the refined sugar is maximum in it, maida is maximum in it. So you can see in descending order. Okay, the maximum will be first, then second, then third, like this in descending order they write down. The least one will be the last. Okay, now there can be various kind of names of it, the sugars added in it, added sugars, sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, preservatives, these flavoring agents, then taste makers, many things are added in this. Added sugars can be with different names. They can be various sucroses, maltoses, they can be saccharin, there can be fructose. Okay, it can be corn syrup and all, like it can be with different names. And then they can be the sweeteners, and these are all empty calories, but they are very harmful for the gut bacteria. Why we stress that we are not getting any calories from them? Okay, you will think that we are getting 0 calories from the added sugar, from these artificial sweeteners and all. But even though it is adding no calories to your diet, it's harming the gut bacteria. That is very, very important. If the gut bacteria over a period of time gets harmed regularly, consistently, you are consuming such kind of food, then even if you're eating healthy food, it will not be absorbed properly. And the problems which are happening due to the problem in the gut bacteria, inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome and all, these are also very, very common, and it's very, very difficult to replenish the healthy bacteria. This I will discuss in detail also in my coming videos, and earlier also I have discussed that the gut bacteria health and the connection with the brain is very important. If you are harming the gut bacteria by these food packets, okay, you're consuming this knowing the problems it can cause, still just for taste and palatability, and for just because you're addicted to it, you are taking, so that is going to make put you in a very, very big problem also, because that can lead to various other issues also, especially in children, which I discussed. Cognitive abilities will be deranged, then the memory will be affected, their attention span will be affected, dementia, Alzheimer's, many problems will be in the pipeline. So every time it's stress, that please do deter from eating all these kind of defer. Don't try to think that there are healthy things here. In beverages also, it's written like real fruit juice. Yeah, you must have come across this kind of name also. What's the real fruit juice? It cannot be real. Whether it's in a Tetra Pak also, it cannot be fresh, because it has been processed so much. It has very little pulp, all the fibers are zero in that. You are just drinking sugar, that's it. Okay, and that is very, very harmful. So even if the names are catchy, they attract your attention, that this is real fruit juice, this is a healthy option. Even in the vegetable oils it is written it is great for the heart and all. So that is also kind of a company marketing strategy. Don't go over that. Okay, then you will be amazed, and you will be actually astonished to just understand this thing, that the American Diabetes Association or American Heart Association, which we think are the main bodies to give guidelines regarding, like American Diabetes Association for diabetes, American Heart Association for cardiovascular issues. But do you understand the problem is that these two big organizations also, they are very much connected with the pharma companies, and they are biased in their approach. Okay, the guidelines are such that even the dietary guidelines that they propose, the ADA, it is not in conjunction with which should be properly actually followed by people. In one of their guidelines in 2009, they actually, ADA said that you can consume, when insulin was discovered, they say that you can consume sugar, okay, you consume carbohydrates, they are also very important, but after taking the carbohydrates, don't forget to take your insulin. So to make a diabetic person dependent on insulin is also doing a lot of harm to that person, because already a type 2 diabetic person is hyperinsulinemic. Insulin is already increased in the circulation, and if you're giving again more insulin, that earlier insulin is not working, again you're giving that insulin is kind of a growth hormone. It's going to increase more of the fat tissue, and it is going to make the person all the more less insulin sensitive. It is going to decrease the lifespan of that diabetic person. So insulin is not a therapy. Okay, it cannot be said that yes, you can go for insulin instead of drugs. You can eat your carbohydrates and take your insulin. Okay, then after in 2019, I think Mr. Khan, he was the director of ADA, and then he actually modified the guidelines, because he felt that this is not appropriate, that we encourage diabetic people to eat carbohydrates. Okay, some modifications were done. Then recently, AHA, the American Heart Association, has said that intermittent fasting is not helpful, and that is totally wrong, because intermittent fasting, eating lesser meals, keeping a gap between the last meal and then the breakfast in the morning, it's the most preferred choice. It will decrease the weight also, and if you're not actually interested in decreasing the weight, you're already lean and thin, then it is actually going to correct your insulin resistance, or it can make the tissues more insulin sensitive, because it's going to give time for the metabolism to work. Okay, it will give you a good sleep, and that good sleep is again going to be very, very good for your metabolism. Okay, so these are kinds of guidelines. Statins, if you see that statins have no role in protecting you from cardiovascular issues, it can give you a psychological, a placebo effect that yes, I'm taking statin, my cholesterol is being lowered. But do you know that cholesterol is not the only reason, and it's not the reason for cardiovascular issues? Major problem is the triglycerides, and that triglyceride is coming from the sugar you're eating. Another problem is the small dense LDL, not the normal LDL, that is the LDL-B. Okay, now statins are not decreasing that small dense LDL, it is decreasing the normal LDL. So that is not actually protecting you or preventing you from getting another heart attack. Okay, it's going to give you more side effects, going to create more muscular weakness. So much problems are coming because of the drugs we are taking. Drug companies will always promote their products, okay, that you take this medicine, you will be away from this problem, take this antihypertensive, you will be away from high blood pressure. But we can find out other ways to control our hypertension, to regulate our blood sugar, to keep ourselves away from another kind of a myocardial infarction or heart attack, or protect the heart vessels, or decrease the plaque formation. There can be other areas also. And that in that thing, one most important thing is you please cut down your sugar consumption. We don't require much. Okay, 20 to 25 grams is recommended, that is 1 teaspoon. And I say if you don't take that also, that's fine, because you're getting carbohydrate from all the food you're eating. You don't require that added sugar. Why it is called added sugar? You're adding it unnecessarily, you're adding it. So please abstain from that. Okay, I give my experience. I have cut down sugar completely. My tea is without sugar. Evening tea I've stopped. I have actually started eating very light food in the evening. I skip also if I'm not hungry, and I don't snack. I don't bring packaged food. I avoid eating outside. I have followed these things since I think 5-6 months. I'm following just judicially, and I'm finding a drastic change in my health without any kind of added exercise or strenuous exercise. I'm finding myself much fitter. So this is my experience. I had thyroid issues, I had hyperthyroidism, and my thyroid is totally vanished now. My thyroid hormones are working perfectly, everything is working perfectly. So just try these things, okay, and bring your life on track, because health is wealth, I would say, and this is very important. If you're making healthy choices, it's very important you get to get a long life, a healthy life, and you will be very much able to do various activities in your life which you really enjoy for a long period of time, because you'll be living much longer. So take care of your health, and bye.